All right, welcome to the second video in this series on Websites 101. Today I'm going to show you a few things and add on to what we did yesterday. So a little recap. I touched over heading or the H1 tag and showed you an example what that looks like on the page, and then placed a couple CSS elements within that so it could be enhanced. And then I covered what a paragraph tag is and the purpose of paragraph tags. And then also I walked you through on how to download Visual Studio, which is the IDE that we'll be covering and using for this course. Let's get started. Heading tags are very essential and crucial for developing websites. And they basically give a title to whatever section that you're working in and developing on that page. I've typed out H1 through H6 already. And let's go ahead and look at the example here. And here we go. So H1 through H6. So as you can tell, this is H1, H2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. As you can tell, the larger the number, the smaller the font type. And typically these are used within columns and subsections, not necessarily heading types like it is right here, like an H1 tag. So you would use this within like a card or a column, or just even its own individual title section if you wanted to split up your web page if you're typing out some sort of content. So that's what that does. And so now the great thing about these heading tags is that you could also add your elements within each, and it's going to enhance the fonts as well. So enough of headings. So I'm going to delete those. And they're out of there. Okay, so now let's go over, before we continue into other HTML features, the bulk of what we're going to be doing is based out of Bootstrap, and a few things out of the style.css file that I'm going to create, or we created yesterday. And so right now we're going to install Bootstrap. So there's a website that I love going to. It's called Bootswatch, and it already has some preset themes. It's very easy to install and create within your website. So to download, let's just go ahead and pick our theme. And these guys, they have several to choose from. So based off of what your color scheme is, you would want to go ahead and choose the best one. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose this guy right here. So Latera. So this looks like a pretty decent one. So there's a few files within. So you have your main ones, which is the bootstrap.css and bootstrap.min.css. One's a compressed version. This is the min, and the one's the standard. So we're going to go ahead and do both. And what we're going to do is download both. And it's super easy. So all you got to do is just go to your downloads. And where is it? Here we go. Right here. Pull up your main directory. Actually, before you do that, open up Visual Studio, and then just drag and drop in your CSS folder. So what's going to happen is it's already going to add things, or add those two files to your project. And then once it adds, you just hit refresh, or it should refresh itself and it's there. Good. So now we have something to work with. Now, anytime that you want to incorporate your styling for your CSS, you must use a div tag, no exceptions. Without a div tag, div class or dividing class, it makes the HTML as a total or as a whole look clean. And plus it adds bootstrap and styling elements within so that you could enhance each section even more. So we're going to leave this heading. Well, we're going to go ahead and just place in a heading section. So we have a few options right here. So let's go with alert heading. And then in Visual Studio, it's got a IntelliSense has got to complete that div tag. Now you could go ahead and do whatever you'd like within the div here. So you could add more HTML to it. You could leave this as is if you just wanted this to be its own div section for styling. There's all sorts of things. And then also, what you want to do is when you're done with that div class, you want to go ahead and start another one. And if you want to make this a column, Bootstrap comes standard with columns, which is a great Bootstrap feature, and I love using columns. So what you want to do is you say row, because you want to start the column out as a row. Then you type out another div class, and then create your column. All right, sorry about that, the phone rang. So getting back to it. So I'm about ready to place in a column. Bootstrap's excellent about doing this, or about allowing you to implement columns. And let's get rid of that. So you want to put the column. Now the way it works with a Bootstrap column is here. Let me go ahead and just pull up a diagram here for you. Let's see here, Bootstrap columns, right? And let me give you a good diagram here so you could see here. This is called also a grid system. And it uses a series of containers, rows, and columns to lay out and alike content. So it's built with a few things. So you could do 3 columns, you could do 2 columns. Now the way it works is you could do 1 through 12. And so you could split this up to 12. The higher the number, the wider or larger it's going to be. Smaller the number, the smaller it's going to be. Actually, hold on, I reversed it. Sorry, it's the reverse effect. I'm sorry about that. But the way it works with this is, as you can tell from the Bootstrap website, you can do extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large for the columns. And yeah, I was right. So the larger the number, the wider it's going to be. The smaller the number, the narrower, the more narrow it's going to be. So you can mix and match. You can do all sorts of fun things. So if you want to read up more about the grid system for Bootstrap, I highly recommend it. Just go to getbootstrap.com, search for grid system, and it's going to be there. All right, so the purpose of this here, we're going to put in a column of let's do MD3. Now we want to go ahead and place in our paragraph. So do a Control X for for cut. And I'll show you here in a second how this is going to work. And we're going to just do a refresh on this. There we go. As you can tell, everything is kind of coming into its own little section, but we're not going to be done yet. We still have a lot more to do here. So for this paragraph, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and cut this, create another div tag in another column. And again, everything's abbreviated. Let's go ahead and do another MD3. You paste that in there. Go back to the page here. Whoop. Something's not right. So that, oh, I know what happened. Okay, so, wow. Of course it's not taking because we didn't initiate the link to the Bootstrap page. Oh, that's funny. So you want to do this anytime you want to include styling elements within your website. Otherwise, you're going to go through all this work, get frustrated, and be like, well, what happened? Well, this is what happened. You didn't add that. So now it's going to show up. There we go. Here are our columns. And it even formatted the font too, because what happened is we have for the paragraph here. I'll show you here in a second within this Bootstrap. Oh, we don't want that. Okay. So let's do P. It's going to take forever. There's a lot of things going on here with Bootstrap. Eventually we'll get to, there we go. So that's going to come with its own element. Now the body itself has its own font. This is a font family that it chooses to use. And it's pretty large. Very large font family. So this you could change. You could customize anything within this Bootstrap file. This is just standard. These are just standard elements that come with the Bootstrap CSS file. And we'll primarily be working out of this. As you can tell, it definitely changed everything, which is good. So if you want to modify it, you could just go to end. And you could go ahead and just do, and it comes up with everything. This comes with a large amount of fonts or font types that you could use, that you could incorporate within your CSS and also within your website. So we're going to just go back to the way it was. And so let me break this down here while I'm in here. So margin means this just provides a margin between each section within the body. Font size is how large it is. You could do pixels, right? Or you could go back to the default here. Font weight is the weight of the actual font itself, like if it's bold, if it's not. You could also put in bold, right? but we're going to go to standard 400. Color, this uses another form of black. Line height is how high the spacing of the line itself is going to be. The text align is it's going to align to the left. So text align, you can do left, right, center, and a whole bunch of options right here. So we're going to just go back to left, put that at its default for the time being. And then the background color is the standard white. The background color you can change at any time within the body. But we're not going to deal with this right now because there's more things that we're going to add here later on. But all right, so back to this. So we have our 2 columns. So this is looking like it's good here. Off to a great start. So we're going to add another column so we could have the 3-column effect. And again, MD3. Another paragraph if you want. And just do let's do like an about column, or you could do like whatever text you want within it. We started in 2019 and love creating experiences for small to medium business types. We have several options for you to choose from. Please contact us for more information. Okay. And there's our 3rd column. Now, if you want to space this out just a little bit more, you can. That's fine. So if you want to do like a 4, a 3, and a 3, that's fine too. You know, it's up to you. But again, the larger the column size, it's going to start itching its way towards the right margin. Then eventually what will happen is if you have all these large columns, you didn't want multiple rows, it's going to create another row by default, even if you don't have the div tag in there. So you want to watch out for that. So I'm going to go back to just the standard right here. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, this is great and all, but where are the images? How do I place an image in here? Well, good, and it's great that you asked, because now we're going to get into hero images. So a hero image, is this large heading type image that shows up in the the top of every single website. Well, it should. You know, it brings user enhancements and it brings all sorts of great things to a website. Now, as I demonstrated in my personal website, pull this up. I have a mix of everything going on. So I have a video hero, which I'll get into here in a later video. Then here, let's go to another one. This is what a hero image looks like right here. So you can make it as a background image, which is preferable because it kind of brings to the effect. A lot of users like that scrolling effect where it just kind of disappears as you go down, as opposed to you can make it stationary as part of the page. It's really up to you what you'd like. So, uh-oh. There we go. So anyway, let's go ahead and figure out what a great hero image looks like. So I like going to stock photo pages. So there's one that I like going to. It's called Pexels, and it provides some pretty decent high quality stock photos. I mean, if you have your own stock photo site you like to go to, you could just go to that. But let's just search in here websites and see what it pulls up. And you want to try and pick the best photo that you want to explain that explains your theme or what you want your theme to be portrayed as. You can't just like randomly choose a photo because it just doesn't make sense sometimes. So as you can tell, there's a lot going on here. You could do like website, like this one, website holding and landing pages, you know, all sorts of things, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just choose. Let's just choose this one here because this looks like it's pretty good. And then you just go to download. You can do original size or large, it doesn't matter. Because in the end, the system's going to go ahead and resize it anyway, because we're going to put in the sizing elements and get that all taken care of for you. So you can download that. Show in folder. There it is. Rename it. Let's just do index hero for the time being. Then there it is. What you want to do is just pull up your main folder. Oh, I don't have the images. So let's create an image folder, shall we? That's very important. So what you want to do is just right click, go down to add, once it decides to load here, and then new folder, images. There we go. There. Now it shows up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this, paste it in here, so we have something. Then you always want to drag and drop into here, into Visual Studio. And there it is. So next we're going to work on our hero image. So we're going to go to the Bootstrap. Well, you know what? We're going to leave the Bootstrap alone for the time being here. So index, hero, background. Now with CSS, you need an end tag and a starting curly bracket and end curly bracket to start in that particular selector or element. So we're going to include one for the index hero right here. All right, great. Sorry about that. Had another phone call, but back to it. So we are going to place the elements within the index image backing up, I changed this from the index hero background to index image. Just kind of makes a little bit more sense. And I'm pulling this from a recent project that I did. I use a lot of these elements, which actually increases the user experience. So we're going to do this here. So I'm going to just plug and play all this just to save a little time here. I'm going to go through each one separately here in a second. And then whenever you're doing an element or a selector in CSS, you want to always put a period and start a new command here. Begin, opening and closing curly brackets, and then we're doing right here for the overlay. Good. All right, so let's go over this here really fast. Oh, and I gotta change this to index hero. Okay. So we're gonna go through this here really quick. So we have background image, which will display in the background always. It's going to be the index hero. I titled it, and that's going to be the stock photo that we got from Pexels. Background position is going to be center, center. Repeat, no repeat. Background size is going to cover the whole page. Background attachment is going to be fixed, so it's not going to be moved around. Transition is going to be 0.3s for the background, border 0.3s, border radius 0.3s, and box shadows 0.3s. And the padding is going to be 50 pixels by 0 pixels by 50 pixels by 0 pixels. And then the index image background overlay is going to be height and width 100%, top and left 0, positions absolute, meaning it's going to be, its position's going to be absolute to the image. And the opacity is going to be 0.5 opacity, allows the image to be shaded darker or lighter. And it brings an awesome effect, especially if you have font types over that, which we will here in a minute. So, all right, good. So next we're going to type in index, and then it's going to read it from the style.css file. Then right under that, we're doing another div class called index image background overlay, and it's going to have that in there. So we're going to leave that as is right here. We're not going to put anything in between that. So we're going to put in a few breaks. You'll see why here in a minute. Now, instead of this div class right here, we're going to take out this heading, place it in there. We're going to delete this because we don't need this anymore. And we're going to put in an actual hard return. Remember, styling elements within HTML tags are great. And then we're going to make this the width. Let's go with 300. You'll see why in a second. But then the color is typical. It's standard white. Make sure you have a closing tag on that. Another break. And you could adjust this here in a minute. But next, before we go and refresh that page, we're going to create a div class called Jumbotron. Great thing about Bootstrap is it comes with Jumbotron classes. And Jumbotron is like a container section, but it comes with its own sizing elements. Make sure I get everything in there. And you want to go ahead and make this white for the background color because it comes with a standard gray. If you want to leave it gray or as is, that's fine. It's up to you, but I like white. And then now we can go ahead and refresh. And we're going to have something that resembles kind of a website here in a second. So bye-bye to all that. Next, we want to change the color. I forgot to do that. So I want to change the color of this right here. We want to make it standard white. We could make it black. The white, I feel, just kind of makes it pop out. Black, I don't know. We could do black too. Let's see. It's up to you what you want. We'll do with white for the time being. We could go ahead and there you go. That's what your hero image looks like. Now, when we get more on the page here, we will you'll be able to scroll down on this just a little bit more. We're going to get a footer in here in a second and get that all taken care of. So today, I went over a recap from the last video, went over heading tags, what Bootstrap is, hero images. We didn't go over navigation menus, but I definitely will in the next video. And I'm going to go ahead, we're going to just plug on through on creating this website here. And see you in the next video.